Land back, everyone. Welcome to our book trap today. Land back, Chief T. Oh, you're mute. Can't hear you.
Oh, I just realized I was muted. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing amazing. I had my coffee this morning, just getting into the feel of this book trap for our last episode of this
Lambak
month.
Chief Chrysanthema, Lambak Chief Shagun. Yes, it is the last episode. I hope y'all are ready, bringing all your thoughts on this book.
Land back. Yes, start hopping in. We are going to be reading the last few chapters of our book for this month, which is Inquilab, reading Bhagat Singh on religion and revolution. So go share this link, share it with your family, share it with your friends, get your comments up in here. This is a mandatory political education.
Yeah, make sure you're checking in on your chapters and your committees and like really pushing your comrades to make sure that they're able to come to this event. Because it is, political education is an essential part of being a revolutionary, right? Like none of us are born with all the knowledge of the world and we constantly have to educate. Lambak CIC Ghazi.
Land back, Commander. Land back, everyone. All right, yeah. So this book trap for the month has been so special, Chief T. Like, it has been an honor to just have this book trap go over, the revolution in India and, one of now my favorite revolutionaries, Bhagat Singh, and just learning from his works. How has it been for you just reading through this book,
Yeah, I think like it has been a really Lambak Chief Benjamin. It has been like a really good experience for me too because like I had already read like most of these essays, but it's different when you do it with your comrades, right? And when you're like sharing that knowledge with the world, right? I've like gotten to talk about Bhagat Singh on so many occasions this month now, and I just feel really proud and like it has made me feel like prouder in like the revolutionary history of my people. And I know, like, reading this, I know, and like knowing myself and my other South Asian comrades, and also the fact that, yes, Inkilab Zindabad, Chief Tere, like knowing that, I have the support of my colonized comrades from all over the world. We're fighting against this beast together. I know that my nation is going to see liberation and freedom from imperialism, from capitalism, from colonialism. Lambak, Comrade Cheem.
Land back,
Yes.
Mr. Scene. Yeah, no, we are winning our freedom back, just because we unite with other colonized people, we unite with other colonized nations, and this is something that we'll be going more in depth into in our book trap for this episode, is how our colonized nations uniting to defeat white power will ultimately lead to the success of our revolution, right? Because Bhagat Singh was a martyr and he was hanged by the British, and he was able to liberate the masses of poor working class Indian people, but he was able to instill in the masses, this phrase "Inkilab Zindabad," which Chief Tere said in the comments. Like, comment hashtag Inkilab Zindabad, comrades. That means long live the revolution, right? Because we are here for the long term. We are here to fight and have a complete transformation of our society, because that's what a revolution means, right? It's not a one-day task thing. It's a whole year. It's multiple years. It is a whole journey. Yeah.
Yes, Lambak Chief Amoxley.
Land back, y'all. Land back. All right, we should get started in our book trap for this month. But first, we are going to be raising funds for building Hammer City. Chief T, tell us why people need to donate again.
Lambak, I know that, some of y'all might think, oh, like, we sound like broken records. We say like the same thing like 5 times a week. Donate to Hammer City, donate to Hammer City. Well, the thing is, Hammer City is incredibly important. I don't know if y'all are reading the news. I do my best to keep up with the news, but every day the conditions in the colony are worsening. so much, right? Like corona cases are rising, the economic strife is increasing, this imperialist system, right, is like in it's like falling, right? Like you have that giant like tanker stuck in the Suez Canal that has like stopped 12% of world trade, and that's going to have a material impact on us because we're not going to be able to find a lot of like essential consumer goods at the stores, right? Because of how important those channels are. And all of that points to the fact that we need to build our own dual contending power. We need to have our own systems. We need to have our own like food systems, right? Our own housing, our own like clean water supply. And the way that we do that is through Hammer City, right? Where there's going to be jobs, housing, food, and healthcare for everyone. You will not have to worry about rent. You don't have to worry about coronavirus. You don't have to worry about like state violence. And most importantly, there will be no colonizers, right? So that to me is like everything, right? Like everything we need to advance this revolution even further. So make sure you are donating and telling the people about Hammer City. You can donate on GoFundMe/Build Hammer City or on Cash App, hashtag Build Hammer City. And I already see we have some comments saying that they've donated. Chief Sante, if you can start reading them out.
Land back, thank you, Madison. $5, thank you so much. And Sicko Praxis also got $5. Land back, thank you, everyone, for donating. 150 in reparations from a settler for Hammer City. Land back, Chief Yabe, always coming in with them reparations. You know what it is. Go ask your white friends to donate, even though they're not going to be in the city. They know that they need to fund this, right? Because we are liberating the land, and they are a settler on stolen land. So they need to give reparations because we are building a city led by indigenous people of Turtle Island, and they are the land liberators. And the land liberators are currently, designing a city that is one with nature, that is sustainable, that lives one with the land, and not just lives one with the land, but heals it, right? Our ancestor relationship to the land was something that was symbiotic. We lived one with the land. And it wasn't until these colonizers came and took it away from us that, all the destruction of our biosphere, our ecosystems started to occur. It is colonialism. And so if you want to stop climate change, y'all got to donate.
No, and I just want to acknowledge that both Chief Chrysanthema and Chief Benjamin donated $10 each. So thank you so much for that, comrades. We see your dedication. Yes, if you cannot donate, please share. We already at 100 shares, so keep it up. Yes, make sure that you are sharing this in all your groups with your family, your friends. We are like breaking down these political educations and doing our best to make them accessible to everyone. And then also like on the question of how Hammer City will be done, I see these like white leftists, these white anarchists like talking about building communes all the time, and I'm like, isn't that just more colonialism? Isn't that just like more like settling the indigenous land? Right? But Hammer City is not at all like that. Hammer City is literally being built under the dictatorship of indigenous people of Turtle Island, right? Like they are the people who lead the Land Liberators Council, making all the decisions. If you want to live under indigenous dictatorship, then donate to Hammer City. Land back, Chief Federico.
$10 from me because y'all, I'm tired of listening to these colonizer leftists too, period. All right, let's get into this book trap trivia. Thank you so much again, everyone, to those who donated. Make sure to, send this link to your family and friends. Ask them to donate and help you build Hammer City because, you want to get there as soon as I do. Yes, and spread the words of our revolutionary ancestor, Bhagat Singh. All right, let's get into this book trap trivia. Chief T, would you read the question?
Yes. What was the name of one of Bhagat Singh's closest comrades? A. Was it Pratul Ghosh? B. Ambika Bose? C. Sukhdev Thapar? D. Bhupendra Nachiyar?
All right, y'all.
So, if y'all have been paying attention, I think you should know this answer because we watched a short film this past week that talked about this, and even last week, Bhagat Singh brings up this comrade's name in a letter that he writes in this, that is mentioned in this book. So I want to see how my comrades are paying attention to all this content that the curriculum committee is putting out.
Period. All right, let's see those answers in the comments. We got a few responses. Yes, what do y'all think? So Chief Yabe says it's C, Sukhdev. All right, Comrade Huey says C as well. Okay. Chrysanthema says it's C. CIC says it's C. Okay, everyone been reading it? Because that is the right answer. It is Comrade Sukhdev. And in one of the chapters, he writes a letter to his comrade, talking about suicide. And, they were both incarcerated, these comrades, by the British imperialists. And he understood that, his closest comrades were the most important thing to him for this movement, because he knew that he couldn't do this alone as one revolutionary with this thought, but that he had comrades who were close to him, who had the same dreams, had the same vision and future, and shared that with him, and that is the most important thing. So land back to Comrade Sukhdev as well, because we unite with him, and we thank him and support him for supporting the Indian revolutionary movement and for supporting our ancestor Bhagat Singh in his last few days. Land back. All right. Yes.
All right, I guess we're about to get into those read that backs.
Period. Make sure to open your book, get those read that backs in the comments, and if you don't have a physical copy, you can go to our library, which is on our website. It's blackhammer.org/virtual library. All right, Chief T.
All right. Today we are engaged in lofty discussions of making India free, but how many people are there who are ready to sacrifice like these people? How many are there who could leave the towns and be ready to go to villages to live like peasants? A peculiar scene has emerged here. Young men left their classrooms, their regiments, and their desks, learned the smith's trade or the cobbler's or the ploughman's, and went to work among the villagers. High-born and wealthy ladies betook themselves to the factories, worked 15 and 16 hours a day at the machine, slept in dog holes with peasants, went barefoot as the working women go, bringing water from the river for the home. They were devoted to only one aim, that they had to make the workers aware of their plight and also suggest the remedy for it. How great the sacrifice! Women worked very hard on this front. The grandmother of the Russian Revolution, Miss Catherine Breshkovsky, was a very rich and beautiful lady. She too was collaborating with them. She ruined her beauty by pouring acid on her face and became ugly so that she would not become the focus of the attention of workers and could become a part of them. How many people are there in India today who would dare to do such a thing? In Russia, young boys and girls would run away from their homes and engage in such activities. How many young men are there in India who could run like fanatics to do all this? We can find very wise people here and there. Everyone is in a hurry to lead his life comfortably. How can there be any hope that India's condition will, and I cannot read that last word just because it's like covered by the read, the improve. Yes. So the reason that I chose this read that back is, want to point out that, this is a consistent theme in Bhagat Singh's writings, right? That he's all constantly talking about, that the work of revolution is not easy, and the masses must be like prepared to dedicate their entire lives, to work like really, really hard for this aim, for the aim of like removing imperialism, for the aim of building a socialist society. But I also chose this PE, right, because I want to raise a criticism of Bhagat Singh, right? In this PE, in this read that back, he basically just like talks about, okay, like, are the Indian people ready to do this? Are they able to leave their comfort? Are they able to like, abandon their, like this life, this colonial life, this imperial life, to do this work? And I'm like, That's your job though, right? To teach them, as the revolutionary, it is your job to teach the people that there is hope for revolution, right? Like teach, show them the tools of revolution, show them the tools of organization, right? And instead of like, yeah, like I just feel like this kind of like over here he's basically like showing disdain for the masses of the Indian colonized people, right? Which shows disunity with our principle of unity number 4, that says that colonized people are the true leadership of this revolution, right? Because like he is blaming the masses for their disunity with revolution, right? When it is the job of the revolutionary to bring revolution to the masses, right? And then also like, why are you blaming the masses and not the colonizer that has imposed these conditions, right? Like there is a reason, right, that we are not able to think of revolution. It's because of this colonial education, it's because of this colonial indoctrination and propaganda. Yes, like Chief Benjamin says, our people are good. Only thing wrong with us is that we're colonized, right? And yep, Chief Tere says, so important to raise criticisms of our ancestors. They would want us to be better, to do what they could not, right? And so that is why I just like wanted to raise this criticism, because I'm like, this is like your job. Like this was the job of like the Hindustan Socialist Republican Army, your organization, right? To bring that revolutionary consciousness to the people. And but to put that frustration like on the people, it's like counterproductive and not at all what I would like expect from a revolutionary, that always talks about the how important it is for the Indian masses to overturn these conditions. But I want to hear what you think, Chief Sante.
Yeah, no, land back, Chief T. I really unite with that criticism that you raised, and I appreciate it because it's something that we often don't do as current day revolutionaries, is like look at the work of our ancestors of the past and see how we can do better, right? And that means criticism and self-criticism and how we can move forward in this journey of revolution. And what you said, I completely agree with. Our fourth principle of unity states that the poor, working class, colonized people, are the true proletariat, right? And the proletariat that will lead this revolution forward. We are the leadership in this revolution, right? The poor and working classes, because we understand that our plight, our suffering under the system is what informs how we move in this world and how we can overturn those contradictions.
Mm-hmm.
And something that this read that back was talking about was that lady, that beautiful rich lady who like threw acid on herself and like because she didn't want to distract people, or like walking miles to go to the factory and like talk to these workers about the revolution and about their conditions. It's a form of like committing class suicide, right? Even though they're talking about the Russian Revolution, and we don't believe like white people can commit class suicide, right? It's national suicide. But like Bhagat Singh was basically talking about committing class suicide, and he's like, are the Indian masses ready for this like great form of self-sacrifice? Because that is what the revolution demands from its people, right? Because this work is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
And the more, and this is in like one of our political educations that we chose from Bhagat Singh, but something that he talks about is that the more comrades that we have that are willing to commit everything and anything for the revolution, and that is self-sacrificial, then the greater are the chances of our success in this revolution, in this fight. And I do appreciate Chief T raising that criticism, because we don't see our colonized poor working class people as as anything but good people, because that is who we are. We see ourselves in them, and they see themselves in us, and that is the character of Black Hammer. That is who we are as revolutionaries, because we embody that principle so much.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really appreciate that, Chief T.
Yeah, and I just want to ask if that comment from Chief Chrysanthema could be pulled up, because I think we missed it. Okay, yes, Chief T, it is our job to get the people ready. As dialectical materialists, we have to criticize our revolutionary ancestors so that we can be better. I unite with this criticism. yes, I definitely want to say that I unite with that comment, and that is why I chose today's
Oh
discussion because
no.
I think that as
Oh,
a
Chief T.
oh, I think my internet was being weird. But yeah, oh, there's like a storm happening outside. That might be why. But I just wanted to, yeah, I just wanted to point out that that is why I chose to raise this criticism because I think that as revolutionaries, we're not just blindly like following past revolutions or like engaging in idol worship. We are revolutionary scientists and we apply the teachings of past revolutionaries, the learn and even their mistakes to our present conditions and see how we can learn from that and build our own revolution. So yeah, thank you for all the comments and for your own comment, Chief Sante.
Land back. Yeah, that's one hell of a form of class suicide. As at Black Hammer, we use our pretty faces to smash white power. Period, Chief Federico, coming out with those beautiful, amazing, politically educating TikToks. That's right. We use our faces to attract the masses of colonized people to be under our leadership and to be the leadership, right? Because we are an organization that gives the opportunity for colonized people to recognize their own leadership in this fight. And that is how we build and produce and reproduce cadre for this revolutionary movement. Laying back. I think we can go to our audience read that backs next. So if y'all have your read that backs in the comments, let's see them. I know y'all been reading this book. Yesterday, Chief Oju was reading, the book on our Facebook Live and in the International Hour of Reading. So y'all better tune in. Okay, Chief Frederico with hashtag read that back, chapter 19. When suppression and exploitation exceed their limit and peaceful work is crushed, the doers start working secretly. They get ready for retribution in the face of suppression. At a time when poor workers were being exploited in Europe, Mikhail Bakunin and an officer in a Russian arsenal was sent to Poland to crush a rebellion. On seeing how mercilessly the rebels were being suppressed, he had a change of heart. He became a revolutionary. Ultimately, he started leaning towards anarchism. Land back. Yeah, no, I want to say that we don't unite with anarchism, and here in Black Hammer we believe in revolutionary organization, right? Because a revolution cannot be accomplished through anarchism. A revolution can't be accomplished through adventurism, right? Because it requires the work of the 90% of people who are oppressed in this colonized system today, right? And that requires a lot of work and organized efforts in order to win this liberation and win our freedom. And yeah, what do you think of that? Read that back, Chief T.
Yeah, I just want to say that, yeah, like, in Bhagat Singh's writings, he does like study like anarchism a lot. But yes, what is with white people and anarchism for real, Chief Federico says. And yeah, I just want to unite because I like when I was like learning about when I started like first radicalizing or whatever, I was also like looking at these like different, like what is communism, what is anarchism, like what do these things even mean. And like after like following Black Hammer for a little bit, I really did come to the conclusion that it is like it's like, yeah, like we need a state, right? Like we need organization, right? Even Mao pointed it out, but Black Hammer points it out too, right? Like we could not organize like 500,000 pieces of PPE delivered all across the globe if we didn't have this kind of like revolutionary organization. We could not organize the building of Hammer City if we did not have this kind of like revolutionary organization, right? And the aim of like communism in the end is like true freedom for the people, right? And like the state becomes like less present when we achieve that, but we are far away from that goal right now, right? Today's need is one of organization, one of like socialist organization, and of creating an anti-colonial state. And I just think it's really funny how like anarchism is such a popular tendency among like white, especially like in Europe and in America. But like, when has anarchism produced a successful revolution, especially when we're looking back at the past few centuries. Yes, anarchism is for white suburban kids who hate their mom and their weirdo petty bourgeoisie POC friends. Yes,
Yeah.
that just describes it so well, right? It's
Mhm.
like um yeah, like, and it's just like this complete like separation from reality, because you look at China, you look at Vietnam, you look at Cuba, you look at any successful revolution, that has happened in the past 100 200 years. How many of them were anarchists, right? Like, how many of them were anarchists? And like, like, and the state is able to break apart these anarchist formations so easily, because like they don't have that kind of like
Mhm.
organization, like they don't they don't have what we have, right? And it's yeah, like I just want to say that I really do not think that anarchism is it. If you're an anarchist, I suggest you to go through Black Hammer's like pages and like educate yourself, because yeah, like I fully believe, and history shows us. I'm a dialectical materialist. I'm not pulling this out of my ass, or like this is just something that I want to believe. Oh, I just hate anarchists. I'm just saying that in today's world it's not possible to win a revolution with anarchism, and we need organization. We need an organization like Black Hammer, right? So if you're ready to move on from anarchism to something that's actually revolutionary, go join Black Hammer today.
Period. Land back. Yeah, no, I definitely unite with that, Chief T. And something that anarchism cannot provide, that organization does provide, is all of the all of the benefits that we see in Black Hammer itself. Like, we are able to organize workout classes. Our curriculum team puts out amazing political education materials. We have our campaigns office, which gives and provides us information and research on protecting ourselves from coronavirus, this pandemic, this plague that's going on right now, right? And we see that organization is simply just a matter of using the collective brilliance of colonized people, right? Because we've never worked as individuals, and we always worked together. And having an apparatus, an organization where you're able to
Mhm.
plug yourself into it, and not just plug yourself into, but be a leader in that, is so
Mhm.
important, because you can only understand and find your importance within the collective. You can't find your important, like, human, like, greatness or individual greatness by like just falling into anarchism, that like everything, the true order is like chaos and disorder. Like, no, everything is organized, even down to our cells, right? That's what
Mhm.
we believe in fundamentally as dialectical materialists, as revolutionary scientists. So yeah, thank you for breaking that down, Chief T. I think we got time for one more read that back from the comments. Yeah, I would love to read what y'all have. All right. This is from Comrade 11 in Chapter 18. Crime is nothing but misdirected energy, so long as every institution of today, economic, political, social, and moral, conspires to misdirect human energy into wrong channels. So long as most people are made to do the things that they loathe to do, living a life they don't want to live, crime will be inevitable, and all the laws or the statutes can only increase but never do away with crime. Land back, yeah. Full unity with that, Comrade 11. Chief T, what did you think of that? Read that back.
Yeah, no, I definitely really unite with it. Again, uh, I think as Chief Benjamin pointed out, that colonized people, we are good people, right? And even when we do commit, acts of horizontal violence, or just like any kind of like violence, or what the state calls crime, it is it's like it's a direct like symptom of the colonial system that we're living in, right? It yeah, people are doing their best to survive when like we have not been given the tools to survive, right? And that is just like that is what we're seeing. And even like even things like hate crimes, or like crimes that like target particular groups, those are all like encouraged by the colony, right? Like, even if you think about like these cases of horizontal violence between like say like two different like nations, those are all encouraged by the colony, right? And like um like Black Hammer, like at Black Hammer, we believe that, if our people are provided with the tools of revolution, with these, tools that will help like to alleviate the stressors in their life, when they have access to food, when they have access to, the all the tools they need to survive, then they wouldn't have to like resort to these things for survival, right? And you have this like colonial like incarceration system, which is like a legacy of like the slave catchers that they used to have, that these colonizers used to have. How can you expect anything like that, to help like quote unquote reform the people? Like in Black Hammer, we know that we have unending faith in the colonized masses, and the way that we correct any like misdeeds that we commit is through criticism and self-criticism, right? And so yeah, I just wanted to like unite with that, and I wanted to say that yeah, like it is totally the fault of these institutions that crime is like such a huge, crime and violence are such a huge part of our existence, because again, those are all imposed by the colony. The colony is the most violent thing to have ever existed, not us as colonized people. So yeah, really appreciate that, PE. I'm back.
I'm back. Yeah, I know. I fully unite with that. And what you said is have an unending faith in the colonized masses, because crime isn't a product of like us as humans, as colonized people, right? It's the product of the system that forces and ultimately pushes our people towards like committing crimes, quote unquote crimes. Like you're just taking back your resources, you're just taking back what's yours. So that isn't even a crime in which like we can even consider the act of like taking a loaf of bread, from the colonizers like what do you call it, market stand. Like it isn't a crime, that we are taking back what's ours. It is ultimately, you know uh working towards our liberation. It's reparations, it's getting our resources back. It's our first principle of unity, that is we need dictatorship and self-determination in order to fully, bring in a world where no one lives at the expense of another.
Yeah, and I just did want to point out though that like we do like while we disunite with the state, we still do like abide by the laws of the state. So we're not saying that, oh, like you should go and like commit like acts of thievery, like steal something from Walmart. No, we're not saying that, because also like at the end of the day, like what you need to do is like link up with your revolutionary organization and do like revolutionary acts in an organized manner. That is what will at the end of the day help break down this colony. Yes, because we aren't anarchists. Yes, totally. And yeah, I just want to say, like, no, we're not encouraging people to go out and do that, but we're saying that the reason that crime is so prevalent in today's system is because of the colony. It's like because of the violence that the colony puts on our people every day, and because the colony never provides our people with the tools to like help deal with their problems in like a productive and safe manner, right? So yeah, but I think we can move on to the next. Read that back, Chief
Yes,
Sante.
laying back. So this read that back is page 132. um People who actually construct palaces, they live in thatched huts. People who create comfortable and beautiful things, they sleep on dirty and worn out sheets. Why should this continue forever? If the same thing happened in the past, then why should it not change in the future? If we think that the condition of us Indians should be better than now, then there really should be a change. We should transform it. And back. Yes, I picked this Read That Back. It's a short one, but it's so, so powerful. And it does talk about a lot of things in this Read That Back, namely like how the conditions that we are living in right now aren't so different from the conditions that our people were living in, when Bhagat Singh was alive when he wrote this. It just it's a testament to like how colonialism has just for 600 years been oppressing us, suppressing us using violent methods, and allowing us to build for them instead of building for ourselves, right? They built palaces, but palaces for who? They built palaces for the colonizers. They built palaces for the bourgeois ruling class, right? The white bourgeois ruling class, and not and lived in huts and lived in poor conditions, even though we are capable of building, beautiful and creating beautiful and amazing things. That's just who we are as colonized people, as poor working class colonized people too, because our brilliance shows through, and like our creativity, our leadership, it all encompasses in that. Read that back. It's something that I really think about when Bhagat Singh talks about a world where no one lives at the expense of another. But not just that, but he frames it and is in the perspective of the poor working class. Like he himself was poor, and he grew up in a poor background. His uncle passed away at a very young age, when he was a very young age, and both his parents, were both like middle class or lower like income workers, and they didn't really have the opportunity to like see the works that we like as Indians have built for these colonizers, and instead thought that this was the work of the British. But the colonizers didn't do shit in India. Like we had built everything, and all they did was just take away our resources, looted us, polluted us, murdered us, raped us. That's all they did as colonizers. And we know that we can build for ourselves because we've done it already. We've built for white power, and now we're saying we're taking it back. We're building for ourselves. We are building Hammer City, where we will have palaces for all of our colonized people, right? All of our comrades can truly see the beauty of their work and what they are able to create, and be amazed and astounded by it, because that's who we are as colonized people. So yeah, Land Back, what did you think about that? Read that back, Chief T.
I'm back. No, I definitely want to unite with this. It just like reminded me of, like my parents are colonized, they have colonized minds. And I remember like a few years ago, I was just like having this like conversation about colonialism with my mom, right? And that this is just like speaks to how colonized her mind is. She was like, oh, but like the British gave us the Indian railways and like the education system. And I was like, okay, like first of all, they did not, like we built the Indian railways, right? Like you think the British were out there, like building those like bridges and building like train tracks in the hills? No, we built that, right? And this education system, right, that like drives like, thousands of Indian students to suicide every year because of just how brutal it is. This education system where teachers use like corporal punishment to, like correct their students' behavior or whatever. This system that like doesn't teach us about our true history. So first of all, yeah, like down with that horrible Indian education system. I despise it with all my heart. I literally still have nightmares about high school. And yeah, they did not give India a thing but brutality, theft, and colonial ignorance. Land back. And then I just wanted to point out, like this whole paragraph really aligns well with Black Hammer's mission statement, right? That currently our labor is being coerced to build for the colony, but we believe that we can like direct that labor to build for ourselves, right? And then how that connects to principle of unity number 1, that we the colonized should have full dictatorship over our land, lives, resources, and labor. And that means having full dictatorship over the things that we build and the things that we produce. And Black Hammer is already an example of that. Yes, all we do for the white power all we do is build for the white power state and then get a $1,400 stimmy, no healthcare, and AOC telling us to shut up. Imagine how we could be living if we all built for our people. Yes, land back. And I just also want to point out that $1,400 stimmy did not go to, all the colonized indigenous people who are breaking their backs, working in these farms, picking out, berries for mere cents. That stimulus check that does not go out, to the millions of colonized people all over the globe who are producing for the American and European empire, but who were denied COVID help, from the US and from these European countries. So I just want to point that out too. And yeah, like it is high time that we build for ourselves. That is what Black Hammer is working towards, and that's why we're building Hammer City, is so that we can build for ourselves. These earth bag homes that we build with our own hands, and the soil of the land, it will be to house our own people. Not so that we can build these high rises for like the rich and the petty bourgeoisie. No, we're building for ourselves. We're building for our colonized people left houseless by this incredibly violent system. We're building for our colonized families, our colonized children, so they don't have to live in houses with mold and dirty water. So yeah, we are building for ourselves. And yeah, this really just, I just thought it really aligns really well with like our mission statement and our principles of unity. So thank you for choosing this Read That Back, Chief Sante.
Land back. Yeah, thank you, Chief T. You really laid it out. Like, yes, you were preaching. Our mission statement is that we must have complete dictatorship over our lives, our labor, right? Not building for white power, but putting in the work to build this revolution, building an organization here at Black Hammer, and building our capacity to help and serve the people, because that's who we are as revolutionaries, right? We're not building palaces so that we can live in these luxurious homes and just say we're liberating the land and liberating the people, but we are building Hammer City as the next step towards this anti-colonial struggle, right? We are building Hammer City so that we don't have to live in a world where we get kicked out of our homes, we get thrown out of our homes because we can't pay rent, or we have to end up living out in the streets, exposed to the elements in this world. So I want to move it to our next thing, which is our fundraising call. So y'all help us build Hammer City. On that note, like, we are saying this not just to say that we are building a city. Again, like I've said, we're building something for our people, and our people deserve this city. Our people really deserve something that they can rely on, something that they can dream that this is a city that is for them, and that it is something that is completely out of this world in terms of this colonial world, right? This is a complete antithesis of what this colony has built in this world. Land back. Minister Scene got $10 for Hammer City. Yes, period. Land back, Minister Scene. Thank you so much for donating.
Yeah, and I literally just want to say, I was talking about this with some comrades yesterday. Like, it is the dream of Hammer City, and knowing that it is coming, that sustains me, right? And like, I think about it every day. Like, whenever I'm going through a hard time, I think about Hammer City and the fact that, in a few months, I will be in Hammer City and with my comrades. $10 more from me. Y'all are killing it like always. Thank you so much, Chief Chrysanthema. We kill it for you. So yeah, thank you so much for your support. $5 from Comrade KW. And I also just want to say that I think that now with all these donations, we have raised $215. That is over that's like over twice our goal. So thank you so much for all of our supporters and everyone who continues to donate. Think about Hammer City whenever times get hard, and make sure you're not just thinking about it for yourself. Tell that to your family. Tell that to the people in your neighborhood. Tell that to the people when you're doing outreach, that Hammer City is coming, and you should join Black Hammer so that you can help build this dream for us. Lambak, Comrade Colibri got $10 for our dreams to come true. Thank you so much. That's $225. Comrade Wendy got $10 on it. $235. $245 with Comrade. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Chief Sante, do you?
I believe that is Comrade Kowatli. Land back, Comrade Kowatli. Thank you for donating. Yes, and if you are an indigenous person of this, continent of Turtle Island, we want you to join, right? We want you to join and help liberate your land, help free it from the grip of the colonizers, and build Hammer City with us. So if you are an indigenous person, that is wanting to lead this fight in liberating the land of Turtle Island that has suffered for 600 years under colonialism, then join and build together with our land liberators. And you can join by going to our website and go to blackhammer.org/join and fill in your application, and we will welcome you and help you recognize your own leadership in this revolutionary movement. Laying back, we're here to get free, y'all. We're here to get free, and that is through Hammer City. All right, what we got up next? I believe it's our next Read That Back from Chief T.
Lamb back. So our next Read That Back is from page 138. The English people love liberty for themselves. They hate all acts of injustice except those which they themselves commit. They are such liberty-loving people that they interfere in the Congo and cry, "Shame to the Belgians." But they forget that their heels are on the neck of India, by an Irish author. So the reason that I chose this Read That Back is I just think that it is quite interesting. I mean, of course, what this person points out is true, that we see this infighting happening amongst the Europeans all the time. That you're more unjust than the others. Britain calling out Belgium, right? Oh, Belgium, you're too cruel in Congo. But then Britain, what did you do in America and Africa and India, right? Or Spain calling someone else out. And then today you see that between America and Europe, always going back and forth, on who is more cruel. And the truth is, y'all are all cruel. Y'all are all cruel. Y'all are, the oppressors who have, your boot on our necks, on the necks of colonized people all over the world. Colonized state pointing fingers at each other like the Spider-Man meme. Yes, that is exactly what I was thinking of, right? And you see that even with these so-called revolutionary movements in happening in Europe and happening even today, right? Where they'll be we want higher wages, we want better this, we want better healthcare, right? And I'm just but y'all don't want to overturn imperialism and colonialism. So basically what you're asking is, please let us distribute the spoils of imperialism and colonialism better, right? Basically, whatever that Nordic socialism is, right, that you see in countries like Denmark, where people have all these resources. Colonizers are just trying to out-colonize each other. They don't care for cruelty, period. Basically what you see with these Nordic socialists, right? They have a great welfare system, but they're still imperialist. And, if you've been keeping up with the news of this so-called refugee crisis that's happening in the world right now, countries like Denmark are incredibly racist towards the refugees that are coming in. Yes, not the Nords, right? And then finally, I want to talk about Ireland. I want to talk about the Irish, right? Because the Irish were colonized by not the Irish, right? They were colonized by Britain. See, I acknowledge that, but did they unite with the colonized people of the world in this? Does the Irish state today support all the colonized people of the world and fight against imperialism, right, with the same dedication that nations like China and Vietnam and Cuba do? No. And in fact, Ireland themselves became colonizers when they chose to settle on Turtle Island, when they chose to settle in the Caribbean, right? They were also they colonized what we today call Jamaica. So I just want to say, Irish people should also y'all, all of this finger pointing is not gonna work. If you truly care, Australia too, yes, lamb back, right? Australia committed so many war crimes in the Middle East, right? And the fact that they genocided their the white settlers in Australia who came from Britain, genocided the indigenous population, right? Just as they did with Turtle Island. So I just want to say that I really despise this finger pointing that, all these sections of the colonizer class do, whether it's leftists, whether yes, get those red-headed colonizing stepchildren, lamb back. And I want to say, if y'all are actually committed to building this world where no one lives at the expense of another, if you're actually committed to confronting the violence of your ancestors, go to blackhammer.org/reparations and join our reparations corps and fall under the leadership of the colonized proletariat, because that is the only way that you can overturn all of these contradictions. I don't think that the Irish are going to overturn imperialism on their own, but they can do so by falling under the leadership of the colonized proletariat and paying reparations to all the populations that they have hurt, through colonization. But that's just what I think. I want to hear what my other comrades think. Chief Sante, what is going through your mind?
I am thinking the exact same thoughts, Chief T. The Irish claim that they are colonized, and yet they didn't choose to unite with colonized people, but instead saw more unity with white power and chose to assimilate into white power. And like you said, and Chief Frederico said in the comments, literally like arguing for higher minimum wages, more stolen resources and loot from colonized people. They don't care that it's coming from black and brown folks in in our colonized nations. They only care whether it's feeding their white stomachs. And that's ultimately what colonizers do, is just focusing on their own individual needs, material comforts, and that's what they are benefiting on right now, and that's what they are rested upon, is the blood and the genocide of colonized people. So they are no different than the colonizer. They are the colonizer, right? We understand that. Our political line clearly draws that out. Irish people in America hated Chinese people in late 1800 when they were fighting for their quote worker rights. They brutalized, murdered, and say all Chinese people must go. The same things today. Period. White workers unite against colonized people. Yes, the white whipping class is what forces us colonized people to build for white power, right?
Yeah.
Like forces us to go into these plantations, forces us to do the labor of serving this colonial system. And yeah, Irish people were united with white power against colonized people, as Minister Singh laid out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. And I just want to say, white people, if you want to, whatever internal conflicts you have with each other, even those will ultimately be resolved after the overturning of colonialism and imperialism, right? So even for your own sake, join our reparation corps. It's led by Chief Oju, who is an amazing, amazing educator. And a lot of colonizers have talked about how positive their experience is. Yes, if you are Irish and unite with ending colonialism, join the Reparation Corps at blackhammer.org/reparations. And yeah, on that note, I also just want to say that a few days ago, I was reading this news that it was like a labor union in America calling out, basically asking for sanctions against China for the so-called, Uyghur genocide happening in Xinjiang. And I'm just like, what? What is, how is that your business? And I'm just like, yeah, these white workers, these white labor unions are totally complicit in colonialism and imperialism. So yeah, I don't know what to say. I already said it all. We've said it all. Just go to blackhammer.org/reparations. I don't want to waste any more of my time on these colonizers.
Period. All right, let's get into our last read that back for today's episode of the Book Trap. It's page 159, and this is an excerpt and a quote from Rabindranath Tagore as he addresses an assembly of Japanese students. You had your own industry in Japan. How scrupulously honest and true it was. You can see by its products, by their grace and strength, their conscientiousness and details, where they can hardly be observed. But the tidal wave of falsehood has swept over your land from that part of the world, where business is business and honesty is followed merely as the best policy. Have you never felt shame when you see the trade advertisements, not only plastering the whole town with lies and exaggerations, but invading the green fields where the peasants do their honest labor, and to hilltops which greet the first pure light of the morning? This commercialism with its barbarity of ugly decorations is a terrible menace to all humanity, because it is setting up the ideal of power over the perfection. It is making the cult of self-seeking exult in its naked shamelessness. Its movements are violent. Its noise is discordantly loud. It is carrying its own damnation because it is trampling into distortion the humanity upon which it stands. It is strenuously turning out money at the cost of happiness. the vital ambition of the present civilization of Europe is to have the exclusive possession of the devil. I just want to read that last sentence again. The vital ambition of the present civilization of Europe is to have the exclusive possession of the devil. Land back. I'm thinking back to this TikTok that we actually posted on our social media, our Instagram, where this colonizer was like, "What? How do you say white people in your own native language?" And this colonized brother from, I believe it was Panama, or I'm not sure which country, but he asked his grandmother, how do you say colonizer in our language? And she said demonio, which is demons, right? Literally. Rabindranath Tagore was an amazing poet, as y'all saw, like that. It just beautifully laid out like the contradictions of this ugly system that the Europeans created, right? Of commercialization, of business, of like capitalism, colonialism, right? This is all just ugly in its own nature, and he compares it to the beauty and the beauty of seeing the hilltops when the sun rises in the morning, the beautiful hilltops of India, honoring and like praising the land, our land in India. And he actually is a poet that wrote our Indian national anthem, which we sing today. But yeah, no, I really love this. Read that back. It talks about not just like the ugliness of the commercialization of all these products that the colony tries to throw at us to try and like win us to the colony, right? But we understand that is not what we as colonized people want. That's not what we need. We know that we need our land back. We know that our earth is dying at its current trajectory because of the commercialization and industrialization and the over extraction of resources from our land. It's something that Rabindranath Tagore was like preaching to these Japanese students is like going back to who we are as colonized people, Land back. What did you think of this, GT?
No, I just, I really, really united with this. Yeah, like I come from like the background of like, studying the environment and like, studying like all these like ecological crises that are happening, and like the consumerism that is like pushed by this like capitalist colonialist system, that first of all, it's just like it's consumerism. It's literally just like it exists to like distract us basically, right, from what's happening in the world. But also like it is this like very carefully planned thing that keeps on pushing more and more extraction and looting of colonized people's resources, and the degradation of our planet. And it is this like totally like disgusting thing when you just like understand all these tactics. Like they have a science, like consumerism is a science that the colonizer does. And like you can look into all of these like cases of like planned obsolescence by companies like Apple and Samsung to keep pushing out their products on us, right? And it's like it is like really disgusting. And yeah, like it is all like led by good old Europe, right? Like and their descendants all over the world. So I just really like this read that back because it just like very like poetically lays it all out. And yeah, but I also just wanted to say like Rabindranath Tagore is a beautiful artist and poet, and he is an educator too, and he like founded like schools and universities that today like exist all over India and offer education to the Indian people. And yeah, like he was this like very prolific revolutionary, and something I guess like a cool fact about him is that he was knighted by the British royalty, right? But then after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, which we talked about at the movie trap, he gave up his knighthood, right? Because this massacre was just like so disgusting. And and that is why I think that applies to people today too. Like, do not accept the colonizers like laurels and awards, because they are committing genocide against your people, right? And I I want more of these like colonized sellouts to just stop accepting these awards and like whatever they receive from the colony, because at the end of the day it's coming at the expense of your own people. So at least, yeah, like Rabindranath Tagore showed how you should move with that, right? Like, yeah, like don't accept these things, because look at what they're doing to our people, right? And the Jallianwala Bagh massacre is just one tragic event in like thousands of massacres that they have committed against our people and continue to commit against our people. But yeah, land back, that's all I have to say.
Laying back, I fully unite with that, Chief T. What you were saying about just like this need for wanting to be more deeply invested in the colony, right? Because the colony will try and tantalize you with all of its things, but also recognizing dialectically as a dialectical materialist that those resources are ours, and we are building and fighting back to take back what is ours in the first place. And two, that there are better and more like just better ways of living one with the land. And again, like as we've said in this book trap, Hammer City is a city that's going to be that next level ish. Like I cannot begin to see like all the I cannot wait to see all the plans that our architects have and all in the construction of our buildings that are going to be in Hammer City. But the fact that like just Rabindranath Tagore just laying it out, this commercialization and this marketing strategy that these colonizers have, right? It's still relevant today. And like you said, Apple and all these other companies that try and push their products to our people. It's all to win us to the system, right? Our people struggle with that every single day. Like I think of people who have, like gone away from Black Hammer and have been like going out to these restaurants and to these bars and like going out without a mask during a plague, during a freaking pandemic. Like that is actively, killing themselves because the virus has been killing us disproportionately in this country. And I just want to also say like this book, because we're coming to the end of our book trap, y'all, but I just want to give a personal note and a thank you to our curriculum committee for helping us put on this book trap for y'all today, and also to thank Chief T for co-hosting this book trap with me. It's been a really amazing journey for myself as a revolutionary and learning from my ancestors, learning about Bhagat Singh and his journey as a revolutionary, and his commitment to self-sacrifice and not centering his own individual needs and comforts, but the needs and the interests of the masses that need liberation, right? And this just really touches my heart every time I think about how Bhagat Singh's words have not just touched, you and I, Chief T, as Indian revolutionaries, but to all our comrades too that represent different colonized nations. And that's ultimately showing like our unity with all colonized people, is that we see the struggles that they face in, whether that's Africa, in Pachamama, in Asia. Like our struggles are the same. And we understand that, all the problems we face are from colonialism. That's our third principle of unity, right? Are from colonialism and neo-colonialism, the sellouts that they place, puppets that they've installed in our nations. And today we see Modi, the current prime minister, just fueling this war against China right now. It's taking the side of the U.S., right? A nation that has the blood of millions of Indians on their hands. And it's unacceptable to see our country, moving like this in today's current geopolitical climate. It's not something that I want for the poor working class Indian masses, but they also recognize that too. And the farmers in India are rising up and taking power, and not just these aren't just rebellions happening. And the media has really tried to quiet things down about what's going on with the movement there in India right now, but it is huge. It is the largest movement in history of that many colonized people ever. And that is something that Bhagat Singh is like in has been a part of in that history, right? Like as dialectical materialists, we understand that, you know, this movement didn't just come out of nowhere. It was birthed from this movement since colonialism had begun, right? Since its inception, since the first white man stepped onto our shores in India. And yeah, I just want to, you know, pass it off to you, Chief T, to say your like final remarks on this book, how this book trap was for you as well.
Yeah, I just want to unite with everything that you said, Chief Sante. It has been like such like an amazing experience to be able to share like my love for Bhagat Singh and like, the inspiration that I get from him every day with all of my comrades and, with the masses all over the world because, this book trap is available for everyone to watch. It's been like an incredible journey, right? Like to share my history and like the history of my nation and my people with with everyone. And yeah, like you said, colonized people, we do have this natural unity, right? Because of the conditions that we're in, that we're because our oppressor, all of our oppressors, they're like it's the same. And yeah, like seeing everyone's unity with Bhagat Singh's words, it just like exemplified that, right? That, that yes, we do indeed have a natural unity. And the reason everyone, just connects with these political educations so much, right? Like when I was reading the Zapatistas, I connected with that. When I was reading the struggle of the Vietnamese proletariat, I connected with that. And it's literally because we have this natural unity, because we are all fighting against the same oppressor still. And yeah, like I'm so happy that I could bring that to to my to my colonized comrades. And it also, like, just reading this and all of that, it just like it has given me more hope in my people and like in the colonized people of the world that we will overturn this. And if you keep up with the news of what's happening in India today, the masses are resisting so hard. Like, I can tell you, there is not one sector of the Indian proletariat that is not fighting against the government. Last time I checked, students were striking, teachers were striking, bank employees are striking, medical employees are striking, farmers are striking, laborers are striking. Like, there is no one that is not upset and does not want to change this order of like colonialism and capitalism in India. So I really do have like, I have unending faith in my people, and I have unending faith that, in the colonized people and in Black Hammer, that we are really going to bring about this liberation and end this oppression once and for all. And thank you so much again to Chief Oju, to the Agitprop team, to you, Chief Sante, for asking me to do this book trap. I was resistant at first, but I am so happy that I did it, because this has just like helped me connect with my own history and like with my comrades on such a deeper level, to be able to bring the words of my favorite revolutionary to my comrades. And yeah, like Chief Sir said, Bhagat Singh lives on in the Indian masses. All these revolutionaries, yeah, like from Bhagat Singh to Sukhdev, to Rajguru to Chandrasekhar Azad, all of them live on, in the people who are fighting today in India. And yeah, yes, thank you, Chief Sir, and thank you for all of my comrades who, showed up and read the book diligently. You can always go back and watch these on Facebook and YouTube. And I'm really excited that because we're going to be announcing our next book soon. So don't leave just yet, because we're going to be making some announcements. And we can start with the reparation core. So we said it like a million times during this book trap, but if you are white, if you are a colonizer who is watching this and you truly want to confront this history of colonialism and imperialism that has, been led by our ancestors, go to blackhammer.org/reparations and sign up for the reparation core. We do these classes every 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Sundays. And we also have an 8-week boot camp, so you can get all that education, invite your friends and families. I'm pretty sure they also offer like group courses, right, Chief Sante?
Yes. No, you can, if you're a colonizer and you're wanting to sign up for our 8-week boot camp, you can pay for a single session, or you can join for, how many ever classes you can attend. But ultimately, these resources are going towards serving our poor working class colonized people, from the people that you have looted and, taken the resources from. And so we are just giving back those resources to our people. Right. So every Sunday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have our reparations core class where we teach you about your history, the true history. And if you are a colonizer wanting to, regain your humanity, then join. Laying back. All right. What else we got for announcements? Join the curriculum committee, y'all. Come to be a part of politically educating our members and the masses. Our curriculum committee is led by our very own Chief Oju, who's behind the screens right now, helping facilitate this book trap. So shout out to Chief Oju, who's an amazing leader who has such love and power and dedication to the people, to the children that need to know about revolution. And so if you are a teacher and you want to help people come to the understanding, to raise the awareness and to raise the consciousness of the masses to a higher political understanding, to our political understanding, where we can then usher in a new world where no one lives at the expense of another, that is through our curriculum committee, y'all. This is what molds our brains. This is what, puts on these book traps every month. As well as our, central political educations that we have in every meeting in Black Hammer, because we always about that political education. No meeting does not have a political education in Black Hammer, and that is all from the work of our powerful curriculum committee. So join, and you can, if you can go back to the next slide, make sure to email our curriculum committee at bhcurriculum@protonmail.com. Yes, there is the email. So please, get involved with our curriculum committee. And yeah, now it's time for, our next announcement for the book trap. It's going to be a special one, and I can't wait to announce it. So without further ado, Chief Oju, will you go to the next slide? Our next book trap for the month is going to be, we're reading The War of the Flea by Robert Tabor, a study of guerrilla warfare, theory and practice. Y'all, this is going to get really heavy. And with none other than our very own Commander-in-Chief Ghazi and Secretary General Anko, y'all. That's going to be our book for the month of April. We're reading, The War of the Flea. We've used some of the excerpts from this book for our political education, but really we're going to take this book to study it deeply as an organization and really get into the feel of guerrilla warfare. So I want to welcome Commander-in-Chief and SG.
Y'all did so good. Y'all did so good. Land back, Chief T.
Land back, COC and SG.
Yes, and your pit bull. Land back.
Scary pit bull.
Pit bull. SG, what you want to say? We about to do this.
I'm super excited, y'all, because we're about to teach you about the inevitability about how large empires will be taken down.
Ooh!
Inevitably, y'all. And we're going to go deep into it. We're going to teach you how to do it.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. We about to twinsy up in this bitch.
We can do this political education, y'all.
African Pachamama coming through with them elbows and then fists and then bottles. But land back. So y'all make sure to come through. Make sure to amplify it. We gonna make some little video clips to try to spice it up and stuff like that. But shout out to the Revolutionary Book Trap doing it once again. Y'all did it. Damn, y'all did it. Land back. And revolutionary salute and love to Bhagat Singh. And thank you so much to our Chief of Agitation Propaganda, Chief Sante. That was the leader in this, the flagship leader in this, and giving us Bhagat Singh, because this Imperial Corps does not, celebrate him or even talk about him. All you hear about is Gandhi, right? That freaking CIA agent and rapist and racist. But the light went out. Gandhi's spirit is strong. Gandhi's sellout spirit is strong. Lay back, no, but like bringing us Bhagat Singh and like, let me just touch that. Like, for real, like there's a strong spirit up in this book. You feel me? Like you really feel the fire of Bhagat Singh in his words, and like what he meant. Like he meant what he meant, right? Like he almost like talks in blood, like writes in blood. Like it's just so strong and so fiery, and it has really encouraged each and every hammer that has been a part of this journey. And we just want to really thank you and salute you for that. I love you so much. I love you so much. You did it,
Land
girl.
back, Commander. Land back, SG. Y'all, I'm so glad that we got to go over this book and read the letters and works of Bhagat Singh. And like the book says in the introduction, you know, we are not remembering him as a martyr. We're remembering him as a revolutionary that is carrying this revolution forward and moving our organization towards the liberation of all colonized people. Land back. All right, y'all. So that is our episode for this book trap. Make sure to tune in next week. We're gonna be reading, you know, chapters 1 to 3 for our guerrilla warfare book. Y'all, we about to go in. And y'all know it's our very own Commander-in-Chief and Secretary-General, so this is gonna be fire AF. All right, land back, everyone.
Land back.
Land back.